and welcome to this special episode of Cast It to the King. I'm your host, Joshua Mickle, and if this seems unorthodox to you so far, that's because it is. I am actually at the Memphis International Airport right now, about to hop on a flight to New York City for work-related reasons, but wanted to get this in just before we take off on our flight, and just making sure everything's working pretty well. All right. It's been a long time. We got a lot of stuff we got to talk about. A few things we're just going to discuss today for obvious reasons because of flight-related reasons and also time constraint reasons. And me and my wife actually saw the new Lilo and Stitch movie I want to say last week or so. And I have my thoughts on it, but I don't want to give my full review on that right away. I want to wait for my wife because she wants to get her thoughts and opinions on it as well. And I just want to, I have one little gripe about it, and it's not much to it. And I'm just going to have that over there in case work calls me up. All right. Anyways, let's dive into the show, and we will begin with the juicy one right here. We had a while ago, a few weeks ago, it was Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark of the WNBA that just goes nuts over each other with a certain banter of Caitlin Clark's getting certain treatment or Angel Reese getting certain treatment. One doesn't like the other. Is there friction between the two? And just for me personally, everything that I see about Angel Reese is just something that just doesn't want me to like a particular like this particular person. Just for you say you don't want the limelight, but yet every time you get criticized, you're like, why are you criticizing me? And yet you asked for this spotlight. And I mean, that's another issue altogether. But in terms of this particular topic right here, Ryan Clark had a particular thing to say about Angel Reese and why people are critical of her. Then RG3 wanted to chime in about it, and RG3 on his podcast was talking about, hey, Angel Reese, the hate is real there and whatnot, and then it pivots back to Ryan Clark, where he is not only critiquing RG3's response, but also critiquing RG3's wife that was in the background of his initial video when talking about Angel Reese on the court. And I think, and there's a particular episode on The Odd Couple on FS1 between Rob Parker, funny enough, with Rob Parker. He has a history with this particular thing with RG3, calling out his supposed blackness and whatnot. And so with all that in the background, and then Ryan Clark with his comments that he made about RG3's wife led to some pushback, rightfully so. And Marcellus Wiley came out right after the initial attack on RG3's wife, that saying, based on Ryan Clark's comments about, oh, you're married to a white woman, you don't have these discussions about what black women face in society, only for Marcellus Wiley and Le'Veon Bell and others, former teammates of Ryan Clark, come out and say, hey, your baby mama to one of your daughters is a white woman. And so with that clout over Ryan Clark's head, that's the definition of hypocrisy, if you ask me. You criticize someone for their skin, but then also, while in the background, oh yeah, you also have a white mama for your daughter. And so, The Odd Couple, I believe, said it best when it was brought to their forefront of what is this, what's out of bounds, what's necessary. Everything about this topic, anything you want to talk about Angel Reese or Caitlin Clark on the court stays on the court. And I think The Odd Couple said it best with the co-host, with Rob Parker, saying, when did wives and children become free ammo? when did that become not off limits anymore? Like, did we miss the memo where we can now criticize our spouses and our loved ones just so you can get clout, so you can get status and whatnot? And then it wasn't until like a week or so ago where Ryan Clark came out and said, yeah, he did a boo-boo there. He did a boo-boo there. But in terms of everything else about that, it is really interesting, to say the least, of how did this go down? Like, how did this go down? Why did it have to go this way, and particularly because of what's going on with RG3, Ryan Clark. There's a history between them at ESPN. RG3 was laid off because of the cuts made at the company and whatnot. I mean, there's just a whole bevy of stuff that you can dive into right there. But it was definitely a debate to be had. But in terms of like skin tone or religion or like outside viewpoint shouldn't be a factor as to your critique of someone's play on the court. It should not. It should not. And I think Ryan Clark crossed the line, and at least for him, he apologized. And with that, we're going to get into this next topic, and that is this. As you can see right here, I'm actually wearing a Cam Ward custom-made #1 jersey. Red, mind you. Red. Awesome, awesome red indeed. And so, it comes without saying that he's the first overall pick. Like, what's he doing on the field to impress the veterans, to win over the veterans and whatnot. And then we hear word that he is showing up at the facility at 5 a.m. and that recent reporting had it that the facility people had to kick him out, essentially, because he was just a workaholic, wouldn't leave to go home in terms of working out. And it's not just him. The rookie wide receivers we have with Chim DK, with Alik Iamaner, Xavier Restrepo, and a few others. But those three in particular, Gunnar Helm, our tight end out of Texas, is just another example of all this just coming to a front of there's just something about this particular rookie class that is really tangible. There's something about this rookie class that you cannot pinpoint or touch. That this is not like any other rookie class that we have had in a long time, if ever, as an organization, where you think, oh, your first round pick, maybe your second or third round pick hit. We're hearing word of not only Cam Ward, Femi Oladejo, the linebacker edge rusher from UCLA, our second round pick, our safety that we grabbed in the third round, our wide receivers we grabbed in the fourth round, the tight end in the fourth round, and all the others after that. I mean, even our guard out of Sacramento that we grabbed is making headways in OTAs. But I'll just bring it back to this right here. It's just OTAs. We have to remember that it's just OTAs, and nothing should be construed about like, hey, this, like, we need to take everything per gospel as to what's going on. But in terms of, there is one thing about Will Levis that has to be had. He's not looking good in these OTAs. And one of the recent OTAs, he actually threw an interception on his last pass to the fourth string safety of all people. So typical Will Levis right there. In terms of everything else after that, though, there's just something about Cam Ward. And it's the reason why we selected him first overall. It's the reason we selected him first overall. And the training camp and preseason can't get here any faster. And one more thing I will mention about Will Levis is that with the whole Aaron Rodgers situation of could he pull a fast one on the Steelers and not go to Pittsburgh? Could that be an option where he does not go to Pittsburgh? And it's looking like he may not. I mean, there's a slight chance where he may not go to Pittsburgh. And there are articles online where Will Levis has popped up in trade talks to potentially go to Pittsburgh. And if that happens, we'll talk about the ultimate striptease that you can levy against Steeler fans for the next 3 years. You want to talk about purgatory, like dumpster shoots that the Steelers are in with 9-8 seasons. You're the last wild card team to make it in, and you're one and done. You haven't won a playoff game since 2016. And you won't fire Mike Tomlin because you've never had a losing season. Pair Mike Tomlin and Will Levis together, you will get the ultimate striptease of stripteases, because Will Levis will give you just enough to where it's like, Mike Tomlin can give you just enough. He just needs some more stuff. And then the other half, where it'll be more polarizing, where the other half will be like, we are still in this rut for over 10 years now. What are we doing here, people? We need to stop this madness right now. And with that being said, yes, we are offloading Will Levis. The recent comments from Peter King from MPF, Mike Florio's show. I don't know if it's MPF. That's the actual word. On Mike Florio's show on football, NFL, and NBC, Peter King made the outrageous comment that he deduces Brian Callahan's comments and statements of there's a slight chance that Cam Ward might not start week 1 of the regular season. That he said that he's interpreting that if Callahan doesn't think Cam Ward's ready, he's not going to play him. The statement is true. Like, the assumption is true of course, if your player isn't ready to play, he can't play. But there is no indication that Brian Callahan believes that Cam Ward is not ready to take over for week freaking 1 right out the gate for the NFL season. There's just no indication of that whatsoever. And so with that, we will dump it into, before we get into the next topic, again, it just goes again to the big media presumptions of the Tennessee Titans that I cannot stand whatsoever, because of all of the experts that claim to know everything and whatnot. It's like they don't know what they're talking about because they don't do their research. Chris Sims famously said last year, Andre Dillard doesn't look like to be the long-term star. No, duh. He got cut from the roster, dude. He's no longer on our team, so of course he's no longer a viable option long-term. He's not on our team when he made those comments. Oh, and speaking of other Tennessee Titans, MPF was picked up by the San Francisco 49ers. Didn't last more than like 2 or 3 weeks. He is now on the chop. He's now been chopped, and he is no longer a 49er, and he's back to being a free agent. So all the talk of, Tennessee players just flourish and go wherever and do better elsewhere once they get out of Tennessee. Besides A.J. Brown, name me one other player that has done extremely well elsewhere up to A.J. Brown's level. You can't. You cannot. Andre Dillard? Nope. Dennis Daly? No. Every other Houston Texans player that Mike Vrabel wanted to bring in, Jonathan Joseph, Jadeveon Clowney, all those, they didn't make all pros and whatnot. They weren't haymakers after they left us. What's another one? Adam Humphries. We bring him in, and then he's out of Tennessee. He's not doing well elsewhere. Corey Davis, a top 5 first-round pick for us. We get him, and then what happens after that? He gets to the Jets. He's retired. Underwhelming for the Jets, and they couldn't get rid of him faster because they wanted to bring in Lazard to pair up with Aaron Rodgers in New York. So all this talk of the Titans players do better elsewhere once they get out of Tennessee. The statement is false because you cannot point me to someone else besides A.J. Brown where that is the actual case. You cannot. And do not point to me Jim Harbaugh's obsession with signing former Titan players like Dart, Molden, and Fulton. There's a reason they were one and done in the playoffs. and it was partially because of them. It was mostly because of Justin Herbert's ability not to perform well in the clutch and turn a football over. But the other pieces around him did not contribute at all because that defense just cluttered like it did versus the Texans in the playoffs, unfortunately. And as a Titan fan, that just sickens me because the Texans get yet another playoff win, and that is that. All right, moving on to this next topic right here. Superman is coming. We are almost a month away, or less than a month away, from Superman coming out, and from all indications is that this film, despite their previous extra DC DC offerings and whatnot of underwhelming at the box office, this film, according to industry insiders, this film is tracking to do over at least $170 million opening weekend at the box office domestically. That would put it over the current record holder of Batman vs. Superman, which is over $165 million opening weekend. That is the current record holder of any DC film that has come out in theaters. This film is set to break that record. There have been projections where this film could be as high as $190 million. You want to talk about a big statement? You want to talk about a big, kicking the doors down moment? This right here with Superman is that moment. The trailers, the marketing, the perception of this movie is to borrow Rob's words from the John Campea show. This film is a zeitgeist film where no matter what's going on around it, this film has a lot going on that has never been done before in a superhero movie or any Superman or DC film. We have the inclusion of a Justice Team. We have the inclusion of Crypto. We have the inclusion of I forget what her name is. The Engineer is, I think her name is, but she's a villain. But she's an antagonist from a particular anti-hero team, similar to the Boys, that's in the DC universe per se. In terms of what this means, again, I've said this on the show, and I will say it again. The marketing for this film is right up there with The Force Awakens in terms of the cuts to the trailers, the marketing, and the building up of this volcano of folks wanting and begging this film to be great. I mean, even just at the low end, just good enough. But folks are this film is ready to explode financially if this film is indeed great. If this film is great, this new DC cinematic universe is going to be off and running. It's going to be off and running because we already got Creature Commandos behind us. Superman's coming out next. Then after that, it's going to be Supergirl. We got the Green Lantern show coming to HBO. And after that, Brave and the Bold, the new the DCU Batman could be included in this universe. And there's still a debate as to if the Superman movie is successful financially and critically, what does that mean for Robert Pattinson's Batman? Do you include him in this universe and tie him in like that? There's that possibility still out there, even if the film is good or bad, in my opinion. If the film is good, there's going to be some heavy talks as to including Robert Pattinson as the DCU Batman. And I can't tell you how excited I am to see this movie. And I'm one of those guys that I love Man of Steel. I did not like Batman vs. Superman for the thing the jugular is trying to go for, only to collapse at the end with the inclusions of Wonder Woman and Doomsday, with all that going down. Suicide Squad, the first movie, was a pile of trash with the script and the editing. And as an editor, I can attest to that. The Joss Whedon Justice League movie in 2017 was horse crap. The Snyder Cut was the best thing to ever happen to the DCEU, but it also exposed why the DCEU had to end because of all the studio meddling, of all the cooks in the kitchen. Zack Snyder not his promised vision being tarnished and butchered at the end of it. Like, all of it just had to go. It just had to go and start afresh because this thing, it just didn't sit well with a vast majority of the fans. And there's nothing you can do about it besides start over and start fresh in some way, where it be a reset or a reboot, which is what James Gunn has, funny enough, said about this new DCU. It's a reset and a reboot, he claims. And there's some elements that you see in Creature Commandos where you see the connective tissue per se with his Suicide Squad movie, which is a sequel to the original Suicide Squad movie in 2016, but it's also not connected to the but it's also not connected per se in some elements. The thing gets confusing when you start thinking about it, but Superman is the launch of this brand new cinematic universe, and if this thing pops financially and if this pops critically, this is going to be one of the best starts anyone could ever hope for in the movie industry, in the comic book movie industry, and especially with DC, with Warner Brothers Discovery rightfully giving DC their own studio to work with, that they can develop DC films in-house on their own with their own creative set of people and be able to turn out films with no other studio interference besides Warner Brothers that does the distribution marketing for this. And even for all of the DCEU films that came before, from Man of Steel all the way up to Aquaman 2, all of the trailers have been fantastic. Their marketing was never the issue, in my opinion. The issue came when you is it too dark? We need to include some humor. Everything just came to head after the reaction of Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice. And we look forward to this new start with the DC universe. And with that, we're going to get down to the final topic today, and this one is going to hit home for me because I love me Spider-Man. And there's a report that's supposedly from an insider, I think it came from Daniel RPK first, that Mark Ruffalo is set to return as not only the Hulk, but Savage Hulk, pre-Avengers Endgame, pre-Smart Hulk, Professor Hulk vibe. That we're going to get a Raging Hulk, supposedly, in Spider-Man Brand New Day. Then after that report comes out, we hear word from the Nerdist, from his YouTube channel, and someone that is supposedly connected to the film and the making of it, that the Punisher, John Bernthal's Punisher, will indeed be coming on to the zeitgeist of Spider-Man Brand New Day. Now, in terms of if you've never heard of this guy, the Nerdist, he's actually got some good YouTube videos, but in terms of his overall views of where does he stand with Disney, Marvel, he is the typical everything that he doesn't like is woke and whatnot. Some is true, some is not true. But he is the last guy to want to pump up good news into something that he despises. Let's say that. So coming from him is really, really interesting, because the inclusion of Punisher and the Hulk, after this film has been rumored to be another multiverse film that's rumored to have a street level vibe all over the place. It looks like this film is not going to be another multiverse film, thank the Lord, especially with this film coming out before Doomsday now and Secret Wars, because Doomsday did indeed get pushed back to December. So right now, after Fantastic Four, Spider-Man Brand New Day is the next MCU film to come out before Avengers Doomsday. And I gotta tell you, this has been a long time coming. I have been an advocate for wanting John Bernthal's Punisher show up in a Spider-Man movie. His first appearance in the comics was in a Spider-Man comic. It makes sense. And the way this has been dished out with the recent rumors and reporting is that there's going to be a team-up between Spider-Man and Punisher to take down a Raging Hulk. And then also, before you even get to the Hulk, there are some street-level villains that are supposedly coming into the fray as well, including the Scorpion from the end of Spider-Man Homecoming, Tombstone supposedly, and then you have the ramifications of what happens after Daredevil Season 2 and the Punisher special that is coming out either at the end of this year. If not, then that special is coming out right after Spider-Man Brand New Day. And the ramifications of Season 2 of Daredevil Born Again. The city is under lockdown, martial law, all that stuff. Kingpin is the mayor. What better way to make this a street movie than to have these two connected tissues? And it makes sense. You had Daredevil show up in No Way Home. It makes perfect sense for Daredevil to potentially come back in Brand New Day along with the Punisher to take down some of these street level villains per se. And Mr. Negative, has been rumored to potentially show up along with the Miles Morales introduction to the MCU for the first time. There are a lot of things going on with this film, but as the tagline in the lower third says, what is Marvel Studios cooking? And it is cooking up to be really, really interesting on film. Now, for those that want to say, and I get the viewpoint, I get it. For those that want to say, can we have a Spider-Man movie without a featuring Avenger, like being the forefront per se? Like we had Iron Man, we had Nick Fury, and we had Doctor Strange in the last one. If they use Nick Fury if they use the Hulk like a Nick Fury and Doctor Strange sort of thing, which they appear like as a over-glorified cameo in a movie, then it makes sense. It makes sense if you want to try to pull that off. But the theory I have going on in my head is that Bruce Banner is going to be a professor at some college that Peter goes to. And then one of these street-level villains activates something that brings back the Savage Hulk. And then, by then, we would have seen an interaction between Punisher and Spider-Man taking down a potential villain in the street like a Scorpion or a Tombstone. And then the last thing would be taking down the Savage Hulk, which, funny enough, sounds exactly like Captain America Brave New World. So, it sounds bad when you compare between it sounds bad when you're comparing it to the last Captain America movie, where it almost sounds identical with it, where the ending of the film is you have to take down a savaging Hulk. But I think with the director of this film, with Daniel directing this film, who was coming off of Shang-Chi, and then you have the writers for the last two Spider-Man films coming back. I think they're going to be cooking with something here. They're going to be cooking with something because, with everything that is going on with Spider-Man off screen, especially coming off of the heels of the wretched spin-offs, we're finally getting the sequel to Across the Spider-Verse. Daredevil Born Again was critically acclaimed, and Punisher was such a standout in that, and the mid-season episode, and then also at the finale, showing his Punisher awesomeness. The potential of what that could look like with Spider-Man and Punisher teaming up to take down the Hulk would be really, really salivating to see, in my opinion, because we all want Savage Hulk back. We want the Professor Hulk to die. We don't want him anymore. He is stupid, and you have neutered the character. We want him back to his savaging self, right on time for Avengers Doomsday or Secret Wars. And if there's a plot device that explains it well for Brand New Day, why not? Why not try that? Because, I mean, again, we all get the understanding that this Spider-Man film is not only going to be, this film has to, the assumption with this film, and I agree with it, is that this is going to be a street-level film. A street-level film, and then Spider-Man, Secret Wars, you know what goes on in that story. He gets the symbiote, he gets the black suit, and then you have Spider-Man 5 and 6 potentially set up with Venom potentially entering the fray properly in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that we have been waiting to see. Black suit Spider-Man again, the symbiote, the mind battles that goes on between the symbiote and Peter, and then also bringing in Venom properly for a potential Spider-Man 5 and 6. So, with that being said, if the question is, do I buy the rumor? Do I buy these scoops that Hulk and Punisher are in the film? I'm going to say yes. Daniel RPK has close to a 90% accuracy rate in terms of hitting the scoops online. And the Nerdist that broke the Punisher news, he's not one to break scoops for something he doesn't like and loathes, and then also to put out that sort of fake hate, fake news, fake hype sort of thing. If you watch his videos, that's not him. There are YouTubers out there that will prey upon fans out there and claim, "Hey, this is actually happening. Trust what I say." My Time to Shine Hello on X is one great example, and I'm convinced it's a female that runs that Twitter, and she claimed that Jake Gyllenhaal was going to be the next Mr. Fantastic. Wrong. It turned out to be what's his name? Pedro Pascal. So all the scoops that she does is this person's confirmed, this person's confirmed, this person's confirmed. There are so many confirmations she had for Multiverse of Madness, and then also Deadpool and Wolverine and Captain America Brave New World, where it was just outright wrong. And for folks to continue to give this person a platform and be taken seriously and to run headlines like this is happening in this sphere and with this actor and whatnot and what movie, and then you look down at the bottom of the article, and when it says the source is My Time to Shine H, that's when I know this ain't credible at all. All right, with that, this is probably one of my shorter episodes, actually. So we're going to go ahead and cue it off from there. And looking forward to be back with you with some more movie reviews. We're going to be doing the Lilo and Stitch review with my wife, and Mission Impossible, Karate Kid, a whole bunch of others, because we got a bevy of films coming out soon. And with that being said, my name is Joshua Mickle, and as always, keep kicking it to the king.